October 29th, 2025. An FPV drone searches for a Russian soldier hiding in the forest. Soon, it spots the soldier waiting motionless behind a tree. The Russian soldier becomes the drone's direct target. Two Russian soldiers notice the drone following them and immediately hid among the trees. But all this effort was in vain. The FPV drone had already launched its attack. The soldiers hiding under the trees were left facing the drone attack. Here again, a Russian soldier stood motionless, thinking he was hidden from the drone. The Russian soldier, sleeping under the tree, noticed the drone coming, but he didn't have enough time to escape. Two Russian soldiers, positioned in abandoned factories in the Donetsk region, were targeted by FPV drones. The soldiers tried to escape from the drone, but failed. Russian soldiers continued to fall victim to attacks by Ukraine's FPV drones. Soldiers caught in open terrain are seen standing completely still as the drones approach. Why are they reacting this way? There are several possible explanations. First, fear and shock play a major role. Once a soldier realizes a drone is locked onto them, panic often turns into paralysis. This is a psychological response known as tonic immobility, where the body freezes under extreme stress. Another reason is the lack of countermeasures. Many Russian units on the front lines have no electronic jammers or nearby cover. The Ukrainian Signum Battalion launched an attack on Russian logistics routes in the Lyman region using fiber optic drones. Russian military vehicles on the road became targets of the drones one by one. Here, a soldier on duty in the Lyman region is trying to escape from the drone, but he couldn't get away from it. Within just 1 week, many military vehicles in the region were disabled by drones. Two Russian soldiers crossed barbed wire fences belonging to Ukrainian positions in the Donetsk region and advanced toward the trenches. But they didn't know they were being tracked by a drone. An FPV drone was sent after the Russian soldiers who crossed the border. The fast-moving drone targeted one of the Russian soldiers without giving him a chance to react. One Russian BMP-4 armored vehicle was stopped by a kamikaze drone attack while transporting Russian soldiers to the Bakhmut region. Here is an old Russian armored vehicle. However, it has lost its mobility due to damage. Ukrainian soldiers are determined not to leave the vehicle behind. Drones launched for the attack targeted the armored vehicle. Although Russian soldiers covered the vehicle's exterior with additional armor to protect it from drone attacks, the drone operator found an opening and managed to hit the vehicle. The first attack caused significant damage, but it wasn't enough. A second drone strike delivered the final blow. The armored vehicle was completely destroyed by fire. The Russian soldiers inside were unable to escape. When the Russian soldier hiding underground tried to come out, he suddenly found an FPV drone in front of him. The 30th Mechanized Brigade moved to attack a camp where Russian soldiers were stationed. It targeted a satellite belonging to Russian soldiers, but the drone did not explode. However, the drone could be detonated remotely. The Russian soldiers made a huge mistake by approaching the fallen drone to investigate it. The drone then exploded. It was reported that Russian soldiers lost their lives. Here is another soldier standing motionless in the middle of an open field. He did not move, even though the drone was rapidly approaching him. A fiber optic drone, which signal jammers couldn't block, managed to infiltrate a Russian trench. The drone pilot continued to advance toward the shelter where Russian soldiers were located, maneuvering carefully through the trench. The soldier inside started firing to shoot down the drone, but failed to hit it. A huge explosion occurred. Another shelter in the same location was destroyed using fiber optic drones. Russian troops are steadily losing ground in the Lyman region. A Russian soldier was aimlessly waiting around the ruins of houses. The soldier, who was a completely open target for drones, soon encountered a kamikaze drone attack. 2 Russian soldiers hiding inside a house in the Donetsk region surrendered. But all this happened after a fierce drone attack. Ukrainian reconnaissance drones detected the building where the 2 Russian soldiers were hiding. In a coordinated manner, a building where Russian soldiers were located was destroyed by dropping bombs from a drone and carrying out a kamikaze attack with an FPV drone. The drone attacks, carried out in quick succession and simultaneously, left the Russian soldiers completely helpless. The soldiers inside were unable to respond, and realizing they had nowhere to escape, showed their surrender through the building's windows. The Russian soldiers panicked and exited the building, following the Ukrainian drones. The drone operators led them to their own positions. Everything was monitored from the command center. Russian soldiers were constantly guided by drone. The Russian soldiers, who had been walking for a long time, did not come under any attack. The soldiers who decided to surrender eventually reached the Ukrainian positions and were taken into custody by Ukrainian soldiers without suffering any harm. A multiple rocket launcher system belonging to Ukrainian forces fired rockets at Russian positions in the Soledar region for hours. Ukrainian drones were sent to the area shortly thereafter. It was observed that Russian soldiers continuously entered a building after firing rockets. The soldiers were stockpiling rocket ammunition in the building. Shortly thereafter, a fiber optic drone was immediately deployed for the attack. Soon after infiltrating the building, the drone located the rocket launcher ammunition. The rockets detonated by the drone caused significant destruction. A Russian soldier was caught on camera by a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone in the Andriivka region. This is a Russian drone operator. When the Russian soldier went outside to deploy the drone, his position was exposed. Shortly afterwards, a Ukrainian fighter jet took off and dropped a bomb on the drone command building where the Russian soldiers were located. The impact of the bomb destroyed the building where the Russian soldiers were located. Ukraine 414. Hungarian birds targeted a Russian soldier riding an ATV who was trying to escape quickly on the road with an FPV drone. The soldier tries to move quickly because he noticed the drone following him earlier, but all his efforts are in vain. The soldier jumped out of the vehicle at the last moment and tried to escape, but was unsuccessful. Russian soldiers took up positions in an abandoned house. However, this situation did not last long. An FPV drone carrying high explosives flew through the window of the house, causing a huge explosion. The fiber optic FPV drone that managed to infiltrate Russian defense positions targeted Russian military antennas and vehicles. Ukrainian forces in the region continued to destroy Russian military equipment without interruption. A Ukrainian drone conducting reconnaissance at an altitude of hundreds of meters spotted a Russian soldier wandering alone in a field. After observing the Russian soldier for a while, it became clear that he was just wandering aimlessly. Shortly thereafter, an FPV drone was immediately dispatched to attack. The Russian soldier managed to evade the FPV drone's attack maneuvers several times, but once the FPV drone pilot found a suitable position, he carried out the attack on the Russian soldier. Kupiansk direction. The Sapassun UAV Battalion of Ukraine's 14th Mechanized Brigade successfully infiltrated positions where Russian equipment was located using fiber optic FPV unmanned aerial vehicles. The first target was a Russian M46 artillery piece. The drone operator, moving with precision, sought the perfect position. His goal was to destroy the Russian artillery vehicle with a single strike. This time, the target was a Russian military vehicle. It was very well camouflaged, but despite all efforts to conceal it, it could not escape detection by the fiber optic drone. There is also a civilian vehicle that Russian soldiers are actively using. While all these attacks are taking place, Russian soldiers are waiting in their underground shelters. because they cannot take the risk of going outside. Russian forces are still using these old vehicles on the front lines, and they are being destroyed by Ukrainian forces. Ukrainian UJ-26 Boba Kamikaze UAVs Strike 2K1 Podlot radar stations, a 9A launcher of the S-300 complex, and a Calm AZ truck carrying occupiers. Donetsk region.